Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Thomas Jefferson said, "If you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done." Benjamin Franklin said, "Without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning." Basically, get off your duff, get to working, you've got dreams, you've got goals, you've got to do what it takes to get them. Like, subscribe, comment, show what your opinion is. Let me know if you like what you've seen. And I thank you for your support. Members of the Democratic Socialist Workers' Party have come out with an article where they're confused as to why those members of MAGA and conservative groups are not wanting to regulate or ban guns after what happened to Trump. Well, I'm going to give some explanations in this little video. We're going to talk about why conservatives, people of a conservative-leaning mindset, think that banning guns is both idiotic and a waste of time. Why in the world do these people think that they can talk us into banning guns or supporting the ban of guns when this young man, who, by the way, if you've noticed, you don't see articles or videos on this guy's history from liberal news organizations. This young man was pumped full of hate. I probably shouldn't have to tell you where this hate got pumped in from. It wasn't from critical thinking. He was brainwashed into this hate. But let's talk about why banning guns is stupid.
The latest data shows that in 2021, nearly 49,000 people died in the United States of gun-related injuries. So what do guests and delegates at the RNC here in Milwaukee think ought to be done? Let's find out.
Second Amendment shall not be infringed. That's my stance.
Well, I absolutely support our Second Amendment right to the fullest.
There is no explanation that all of them accept for why that wasn't covered.
Gun reform, when you talk about gun reform, we need to deal with people who have mental illness.
It's not the guns that kill, it's people that do, and it's not being addressed.
The U.S. Constitution explicitly says the right to bear arms shall not be infringed.
This wasn't a gun problem, and what happened to President Trump, it was a human problem. It was a madman trying to take another person's life.
The first thing that those of us who are conservative realize is that a firearm is a tool. Unlike the liberals of this country, we don't believe that the gun was put into a pentagram a la Dungeons and Dragons style and a demon summoned to make it an evil thing. No, we see a firearm as a tool. And at the rally, a person with evil in their heart used a tool to harm people, while good people with firearms took out the person trying to do evil. It's like spoons, if you think about it. Druggies use spoons to heat up drugs, to liquefy them, so that they can put that liquid into a syringe and inject it into themselves. Whereas mothers, for centuries, have used spoons to stir soups that they give to their sick family to make them feel better. It's the same concept as a firearm. There are good uses, there are bad uses. Thankfully, we have the Second Amendment, and it says that we shall not infringe on the rights of American citizens when it comes to this tool that is so valuable. Most conservatives, without being aware of the particular letter, there was a letter written by those that dissented the Constitution in Pennsylvania. I thought this was very apropos. The reason why they were dissenting was because there was not a Bill of Rights as what we have now. There was not a Declaration of Rights, there wasn't a Bill of Rights. So many constitutions had set up a Bill of Rights, a Declaration of Rights. And so they voted for this, but they didn't get away without voicing their views. Their views were this. When it came to firearms, they had several things that they dissented about, but they dissented about firearms not being protected because, one, you couldn't protect yourself. No joke. This was the top of the list, was being able to protect yourself. And I can imagine that if they thought about it, that they would also think about protecting one's family and one's friends with a firearm also fell under that number one right. Number two on that list was protecting their state. At this time, yes, they were debating the Constitution. That was to form what was a country into a better one. But here's the thing. States, up until after the Civil War, states were far more important to people than their nation. One of the reasons why Robert E. Lee fought for the Confederacy wasn't because he fully agreed with what was happening in the Confederacy, but because his wife, his sons, his brothers, in other words, his family, were in Virginia. He wanted to defend his family. Where your family is home. And people didn't get to travel that often. And they couldn't travel that far very quickly. It took a while to get anywhere, unlike today. So, states were their homes. And third on the list was defending the country. The dissenters knew that they were helping create a better country. Because they were helping create a better country, they knew it would need to be defended if it was to be a valid nation. People having firearms defend their nation. This is why people made the thought process of including the militia in with firearms rights. Because back then, the men of a town formed militias. The sheriff of the counties where these towns were was the head of the local militia. They were called captains whenever the militia was called up. They went from being a sheriff to a captain. People don't realize that nowadays. And there was a fourth reason that wasn't listed directly with those three, but the fourth reason was for hunting. Are you beginning to see why conservatives fight the way that they fight? Because this was something that the founders wanted, and they don't understand this on the liberal side. Those members of the Democratic Socialist Workers' Party do not seem to understand that we know that it's a tool and that it is a right guaranteed to us by the Constitution, and we defend the Constitution. There will never be a time that you will hear MAGA groups or conservative groups going that hard after firearms. Now, yes, there are some people that consider themselves conservative that may, on occasion, do this. But most conservatives that I have ever met are firmly for the Second Amendment. And also, they're for protecting ourselves. Think of those young women that get attacked because they're smaller and they look weaker. I know women who have just shown that they have a firearm on them, and it has caused people that were fixing to do something stupid to them to walk away. In communities where it is well known that people live by the Second Amendment, there are less chance of violent crimes. There's less chance of people breaking into homes that are occupied. In other words, a firearm is a tool against criminals. But guess who votes for the Democratic Socialist Party, Socialist Workers' Party? It's criminals. Seriously, listen to those that are criminals. Listen to those that support terrorists in this country. They will tell you that they vote for the Democratic Party. They want you to be victims, and those of us that are conservative are well aware of that fact. And we are not going to be victims. And this attack just shows why we're still behind it. So, why don't y'all think about that? This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.